if you have to choose between a 2% GST hike and a 3 to 4% personal income tax hike on the top 10%, they will yield about the same amount of revenue. Would you still choose the GST 2% hike?
The sums don't add up, Mr. Leong. The sums don't add up. A 2 to 3% percentage point increase in the top personal income tax rate will never get anywhere close to the revenue we get from a 2% increase in GST. It will not. So there's no choice here, right? In fact, we are already raising the personal income tax rates in this budget. We get some money from it, but it's not enough, and that's why the GST increase is needed. But as I've repeatedly said, the objections to GST on the basis that it hurts the poor are completely unfounded. You may disagree with the GST, fine, but do not use that as a reason for disagreeing with GST. There is no basis for that in Singapore. So stop pretending that this is the reason. On the first question, impact of the middle class, I know what you're trying to do with your computations, but I have shown in my chart and in my speech a different way of showing it, which is the share of GST paid by the different groups. And you can see from that, the chart is self-explanatory. The middle 20%, the share burden that they pay for GST, the increase in GST comes down, right? So effectively what it means is that the increase in GST, the $3.5 billion of revenues that GST generates, that 2% of GST generates, will be borne by the upper middle and the top income earners. That's what it comes down to. It shows in that effective rate chart where you saw when we stacked up the effective GST rates and we showed the increase in GST to 9%, that extra burden is all borne by the upper income deciles, upper middle and top end. And that's exactly how we have designed the system. It is that group that will bear the burden of the GST increase, while the rest of the population pay the GST rate, but the impact of GST expenses are offset on a continuing basis. And that's why we can have the confidence of implementing a consumption tax in Singapore that is fair, that is effective, and doesn't hurt the poor.
What is the total taxable income attributable to the top 10%? I can tell you that 4%, 3% increase in the income tax on the top 10% will yield $3 billion.
I've already explained that it does not yield that figure. Just look at the revenue generated from the tax change we have just introduced in this budget. It's nowhere in the region of billions, nowhere. So I can only say the facts that you have are wrong, and it should not form the basis for public policy.